Hey guys, how's it going? Today, I'm going to be featuring the République, the new Tier 8 premium French battleship that is the current campaign ship. Now, I just unlocked it after completing all of the weekly Havoc missions, as well as all of the hard mode missions, basically giving me the ship 2 weeks early access, or, well, 2 weeks before the campaign ends, and really 1 week earlier. Now, this ship is definitely one of those ships that you have to learn how to play and move around the map and really just have good positioning. This isn't one of those ships like in Iowa where you're just going to sit bow in the spawn and basically just reverse. The commander I am using is Azur Lane Dunkirk. I pretty much use any of the hybrid battleship commanders whenever I get a chance to use them. Since they only exist for some nations, it's really unfortunate that the rest of them don't have one, because for someone who doesn't need to rely on will to rebuild the entire time, these commanders are just better. Moving on to the game, here we are on the Atlantic, probably one of my least favorite maps in this game. And if you look at the top of the screen, you can see the team composition, and the enemy team has a destroyer, while our team does not have one. Wargaming has somehow messed up the matchmaking, and the teams are no longer mirrored, at least for these top tier games. I'm sure when the normal +1 -1 matchmaking comes in for the tier 8 ships, that these games where there's an imbalance of destroyers will go back to normal. And since we don't have a destroyer, we are not going to really be able to play as aggressively as we would like until the enemy destroyer is found and we can figure out where we can go without really pushing into torpedoes and just really throwing our ship away. The République has 431 millimeter guns, which means that it is capable of overmatching 30 millimeters of armor. So ships like the Edinburgh and the decks of ships like Siegfried and the Russian cruisers are all overmatchable, so the shells can essentially just pass through that armor layer and ignoring the angle of impact. Previously, the only other ships that were capable of overmatching 30 millimeters was the Georgia and Yamato, and now we have our third battleship that can do so. Looking at the minimap, our whole team seems like they are going to the A cap, while I am here with two cruisers. I am angled away because I have no intention of pushing into an entire enemy team. As you can see, most of their team is in between Bravo and Charlie, and unfortunately our Minotaur somehow gets spotted in his smoke and he ends up getting dev struck. So now I definitely have really no opportunity to push in and be aggressive in this ship. So all I'm going to really do is just stay angled away and reverse in as necessary to make sure that I can reach and hit these targets. They do have some ships pushing the flank, so I'm just going to be careful and keep an eye on them. The Des Moines being over there on the flank and possibly lobbing over the island to farm me is definitely going to be a problem since the République is covered in 32 millimeters of armor, which means the Des Moines HE can get pens, and with its rate of fire and fire chance, you are definitely going to be set on fires pretty consistently. And as I say that, I'm just set on a fire here. Their destroyer does, for some reason, push in and get spotted by a battleship. There's really no reason for him to have done so. He is within my secondary range, and I use the secondary targeting consumable since it's the only consumable that the République has since it has no plane. This Loyang, for whatever reason, starts to smoke up, but it's fairly too late. With this quick reloading République guns, I am able to keep shooting HE, and since I'm using Azur Lane Dunkirk, I do utilize frontal fire, which decreases the shell switch time when your guns are fully loaded by 95%. So really I have a shell switch of 1 second, which is why I was able to switch from AP to HE in order to shoot at that destroyer. And just like that, the destroyer advantage that they had is no longer. And now all we really have to do is just try our best to create a crossfire Our team is eventually going to push through A and towards Bravo, so that us still being here on the north side, they will have to decide who they want to angle towards, and we will either get broadsides or our team will get broadsides if they decide to angle towards us. During that engagement, I was focused pretty hard, and now I'm under 50% HP, and we can see that the enemy team has pushed into Charlie. So what I'm going to do is just try to keep distance from that cap since there is a lot of ships there, and I want to try my best to not lose any of my HP unnecessarily and try my best to tank as much damage so that I stay a threat up here on the north side of the map. We do still have some support. There's a friendly battleship that's here in the middle spawn and hasn't moved from his spot and is just sitting by and shooting. And behind the islands north of Charlie, we do have a friendly cruiser as well. So we are not entirely alone up here. The enemy battleships do finally get spotted pushing through Charlie. So now all I'm going to do is try to shoot them as I stay angled. The République that is in Bravo is not looking at us, so I can stay broadside to him. If he does start targeting us, then I will be forced to turn away and try to angle towards that République. Although I'm not expecting him to survive much longer since he is in the middle of the map and surrounded by our entire team. The battleships at Charlie have actually pushed north into the islands and are going pretty much all the way around to get our cruiser. These battleships going in and out of those islands, I'm able to shoot at them and not get spotted. So this broadside vanguard gets a rude surprise here, and I'm able to double citadel him, leaving him on 2 bars. He does have an improved heal though, which he does use. Our friendly cruiser does get focused and loses all of his HP rather quickly, which is really unfortunate. And now that he is pretty much going to die, there is going to be a bunch of enemy ships pushing towards us. So I need to start turning away again. I am going to hold my shot when the guns reload instead of shooting at the Des Moines because I want to make sure that I complete my turn before those battleships behind the island take a shot at my broadside. So once I am completing the turn and know I'm going to be angled to those 2 battleships up in the corner, I finally take my shot at the Des Moines, trying to hit his bow and citadel him through the bow. Unfortunately, I only get 1 pen, and then he does start to reverse, and he is going to be exiting my firing range fairly soon. So I'm pretty much going to get maybe 1 or 2 more shots in on him before he does reverse too far away. I just want to point out how far this Des Moines can reach me when I am using a Zerlane Dunkirk, and we have Flammable Cannoneer, which puts us past 19 kilometers of range. And this Des Moines reaching the edge of my range, he's still able to reach me. It's a bit ridiculous how much range that cruisers can get by commander skills, and all of those skills really have no trade-off. It's a bit crazy, especially if you're not using a range or dispersion commander and you're using a tank or brawling commander. You're only going to have 17 kilometers, so this guy is going to be outranging the battleships by a couple of kilometers, which I think is kind of crazy. The 2 battleships that have pushed through Charlie and around those islands finally are getting spotted and pushing in. So all I'm going to do now is slow down and try to kill them off. The Vanguard being on low HP is obviously going to be the first target, so we can get rid of him and turn back around and start pushing in. I take another shot at his broadside, and I am able to kill him off. Now it's just a Bismarck and a Des Moines that we really have to worry about, and we do have this friendly Iowa who is still reversing as support, so I'm just going to turn around and push back in. Our team has done a pretty good job of gaining map control. As you can see on the south side of the map, we have all of our friendly ships pushing towards Bravo, basically in their spawn, and us being here on the north side, we're forcing the entire enemy team into one corner of the map. Using Zerlane Dunkirk's special skill, Frontal Fire, I switch to HE to shoot at this angled Massachusetts. And HE on the Republic is pretty effective considering its fire chance is on par with Conqueror. So this frontal fire skill is absolutely ridiculous in what it can do, since you're always going to have the correct ammunition type selected. Even though my first salvo didn't get a fire, I'm not expecting my RNG to be that bad, and I'm thinking I'm going to get a fire in this salvo, which I do. I get a double fire, but we can see that he has one fire in his superstructure and one on his bow. So he is using a tank build slash secondary build. He does end up damage conning, and I can see him slightly turning out, so I switch back to AP since I know that my guns will be reloaded pretty much when his damage con is on cooldown. I tried to aim for the front cheek since the bow's angle would allow me to get penetrations and maybe even citadels. Now that he's angling back in and I know his damage con is on cooldown, I switch back to HE and try to set him on another fire so that he will pretty much just burn to death. Unfortunately, our friendly cruiser has set him on fire right before my shells land, so I'm not actually capable of setting him on a fire and getting any of the damage out of me proccing his damage con. But now he's just going to die. I switch back to AP and aim at his bow, and I do finish him off, getting my high caliber medal. And now all that is left are the ships that we have pushed towards Charlie into the corner of the map. This Des Moines is going to be in trouble since we have a bunch of battleships that can overmatch his hull. I take a shot hoping to hit him before he gets behind the island. Unfortunately, he does get away. Now all we're going to do is keep closing the distance with these ships in the corner and push towards Charlie and maybe even cap it. Us staying alive in front of the enemy team's lemming train and slowing them down allowed our team to basically push their team, and since they didn't really contest our team's push very well, we were able to secure a whole lot of map control and force them into the corner. Also, their destroyer throwing his ship away also helped us greatly in being able to do what we did. If that destroyer was a little more intelligent with what he was trying to do and maybe put himself in front of our team, or just simply didn't get spotted and torpedoed undetected the entire time, maybe this game would have been different. This Des Moines starts turning broadside in front of the island. Unfortunately, I get one citadel, and we're not able to kill him off, and he's just going to escape into that little channel between that small island and the big island. I do have 3 kills, and this is potential for a Kraken. I tried to use aim assist in order to lob the island and hit that Stalingrad. Unfortunately, my aim was good, but the dispersion was not, so I didn't get any citadels on him. Their battleship is on a sliver of HP, so I am trying to wait for him to get spotted as I keep pushing, and there he is. He gets spotted, and he isn't in will to rebuild, so he's not healing, and all I need to do really is get one pen or an overpen, and I do finish him off. Now all that's left is this Stalingrad that is riding the border, trying his best to survive or draw out the game, whatever it is, but he has nowhere to go, so he is going to die relatively soon. I think the Republic is definitely a fun ship to play, especially if you're able to push flanks or get crossfires and get broadsides to shoot at. I am a little curious as to what they're going to make the legendary French battleship here, since the Republic on PC is the tier 10, which would have been the legendary ship. However, they made it a premium tier 8. I do kill off the Stalingrad and secure a Kraken in my first game in the Republic. This is definitely a good ship if you know how to position yourself around the map. I remember the first week of the campaign, a lot of wallet warriors just played the ship like they would in Iowa and just sat bow in and reversed, which is definitely not the way. Like I said earlier in the video, the commander I used was a Zerline Dunkirk, and I went for a Sigma build, somewhat like the builds I use on Sims, and Yamaguchi, the Japanese dispersion commander. But here, I'm using it on Azerlane Dunkirk, trying to see what kind of performance I can get out of the main guns, and what kind of consistency, which for the most part was pretty good, although there were a few trolley salvos, but that is French dispersion for you. But that's it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Do leave a like and subscribe for more. Leave a comment down below for any ships you want to see in the future. But until next time, aloha.